Good morning, everyone. Today, in the digital age, brands have been using social media to start conversation as it provides people to engage through commenting. Social media provide an unparalleled platform for consumers to publicize their personal evaluations of purchased products and thus facilitate word of mouth communication, which gave us even a more reason to build this project sentiment analysis of YouTube video transcripts and comments. What is sentiment analysis? And a brief overview on that. Sentiment analysis is basically contextual text mining of which identifies and extracts subjective information. Basically, you have a sentence and you need to figure it out what kind of a point does it present. Does it present? Well, one of the interdisciplinary domain of systems engineering is computational social science, within which lies the domain of sentiment analysis. The project also exposed different aspects of project engineering, process engineering, and project management. And now I would like to ask Burrell to take over and explain this.
Thank you, Janvi. Adding to what Janvi said, we are all aware of the integral role social media and social networks play in our lives today. More so than ever before, it becomes increasingly important to understand and interpret the actions and elements involved. Through sentiment analysis, we explore the interdisciplinary domain of social systems, studying the network of relationships between the different entities involved, their attributes, and nature. Applying social network analysis, analyzing the system, the environment it's built upon, the elements on that is the elements on YouTube, the video, viewers' actions, likes, comments, etc. We aim to identify trends and the inclination of the masses through the representative information available by applying NLP, natural language processing mechanisms, to analyze the quality of the data. Now, Janvi will continue.
Thank you. So, what our project aims to achieve? Now, basically, what our idea when we started with this project was that we wanted to figure out and perform an analysis over the comments and the transcripts of a particular YouTube video in order to figure out that what the product was and how people actually feel about it and their opinions on it. And and what could be better to actually use the technology, and so we thought of using the YouTube. Now, as we all know, that system engineering does involve a lot of things: system analysis, system design, system modeling, system architecture. So system analysis also involves an analysis with the stakeholders and figuring out if the project is actually doable or not, which we did perform with the Twitter analysis, but then we shifted to YouTube comments, which because it was suiting our environment. Now, since moving on to the system design part of the system engineering, therein we have to define the entities in the project and actually work upon them. So we decided with the entities of this project as the videos of iPhone 12 Pro Max, iPhone Galaxy S21 Ultra, iPhone 12 Pro Max versus Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, the Endgame movie review, and the Infinity War movie review. We took in so the entities of the project with the comments and the transcripts of these particular videos, and then to have a more detailed analysis of what exactly we to of what exactly we're trying to figure out. We thought of including the number of likes, the number of dislikes, the comments, and the views, and their respective ratio in order to get a more detail about the analysis. Now, as you know, that the steps which were involved in the project first was the data extraction, then the data cleaning, then exploratory data analysis, which was performed on the transcripts, and then the sentiment analysis, which was performed on the comments, respectively. Now, as you can see that this is the extraction of comments, and we have imported certain libraries and we've used the Selenium. Now, Selenium is an open source tool that automates web browsers. It provides a single interface that lets you write test scripts in programming languages like Java, Python. And here we have used Python in order to write so that we can make the web Chrome browser work for us and take the entire uh, comments. Now, as you can see that when we were trying to figure this out, we found that the comments were coming under this con- uh, context tag, and so we used here this content tag to actually run the code and extract the comments. Now, over here you can see that the Chrome web driver is also used. So Chrome web driver is an interface which is used to control the Chrome browser running in operations on the local machine with the help of the Selenium Chrome driver class. And so we can easily interact with the Chrome browser and make it do what we want it to do. As you can see, that this is the working of Selenium. It actually says that this browser, the Chrome, is being controlled by an automated test software, and here it was running on its own and extracting the comments for which we wanted. Now you can, so this is the final result of how the comments were staggered. You can see that there's emojis and there's all the comments which are written in a particular way. Then we use the pandas to actually uh, use it as a data frame. Over here, we're using the cleaning of the transcripts. And then we finally decided to represent in the form of a corpus form, the data in a corpus form, which is basically every comment is in one line and they're indexed by numbers from 0 to n, which is the number of comments that they've extracted. Now, cleaning the transcripts basically means that we had to remove the basic punctuations, the unwanted letters, the unwanted numbers, the unwanted lines, and everything in order to just have a clear idea of what the analysis needs to be done on. And now Varul is going to take over to explain you about the exploratory data analysis. Thank you.
Exploratory data analysis. What exactly is it? Exploratory data analysis refers to the critical process of performing initial investigations on data to discover patterns, to spot anomalies, to test hypotheses, and to check assumptions with the help of summary statistics and graphical representations. The thing with data analysis is that cleaning is an integral part of the process. Through our exploratory data analysis, not only do we derive results, we also find some words that need to be filtered in subsequent rounds of data cleaning. What are the steps involved in exploratory data analysis? Here, we are reading pickled data of the transcript cleaned in the previous step. We are converting the data into a document term matrix format for our use, finding the terms of importance based on the frequency of occurrence, and after some cleaning, construction and generation of word cloud for the about terms, cleaning, removal of the remaining undesirable words, for example, there, you, I am, etc., and repeating the above process until a meaningful representation is obtained. Here's the code snippet for the same. First we read the clean data in corpus format. We see the representation of the same. Then we use the count vectorizer library to find the frequency of words. Here you can see we have two rows, one with the actual words and the other with the frequencies. Then we convert the same into a document term matrix, and thereafter we pickle the same and then transpose it. As you can see, we have two rows, and then we'll get a mapping of the word to the count or frequency. Here we create and then we filter the top 30 words based on on their frequency. And as you can see, the top three are ultra, like, phone, with a count of 19, 16, and 13 respectively. Okay, then we define the word cloud by describing the filter and the graphical format to be followed. Then we create a string of all the words in our uh, all the most frequent words, the top 30 ones, and represent that using the matplotlib library and in the word cloud format. Here's the word cloud for the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. As you can see there, this was the first iteration of the word cloud generation. Here there are some extra words like your, got, don't, etc. It'll. These were clean in subsequent rounds. Similarly, here's the generated word cloud for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Here's the one for the comparison video between the S21 Ultra and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Here's the one for the Avengers Endgame movie review. Finally, here's the one for the Avengers Infinity War movie review. Now, Aniket will get into detail about how and why we've used system analysis in our project. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's see the sentiment analysis part of the project. So we have already seen what sentiment analysis is. We will be using it to find the positivity, negativity, or neutrality, and how opinionated sentences are. So we have decided to use TextBlob for sentiment analysis in our project. TextBlob is a Python library that is built on top of NLTK, which stands for Natural Language Toolkit. The Natural Language Toolkit, or NLTK, provides libraries and programs for symbolic and statistical natural language processing on the English language. So we will be using the sentiment property of TextBlob in our project. The sentiment property of TextBlob returns a tuple containing polarity and subjectivity values for the input text, which indicates that how positive or negative the input text is and how opinionated the input text is. Polarity is a float value which lies between -1 and 1, both inclusive. Values closer to -1 indicates negative sentiments, and values closer to +1 indicate positive sentiments. Subjectivity is also a float value and it lies between 0 and 1, both inclusive. It quantifies the amount of personal opinion or factual information contained in the text. Higher subjectivity means that the text contains personal opinions more rather than factual information. So my part of the program will take input from the .csv file which we stored, in which we the comments extracted using Selenium were stored. Uh, the comments during extraction were stored in a corpus form because that is what we need for effective sentiment analysis in this step. This is because the order of words also has a direct effect on the output from text block. Text block does rule based sentiment analysis, and it was no machine learning. It uses predefined values of polarity and subjectivity of words from the Senti word net, which is based on the Princeton word net. This word net contains multiple definitions of some words depending upon usage and meaning. TextBlob calculates the polarity and subjectivity values for each word in the input text by taking average of all defined in the word net. The final polarity and subjectivity value of the text will depend on the weighted average of all the words in the text which have these values defined in the wordnet. Okay, so by weighted average I mean that the sentiment values of the words are modified due to their prefixes. An example of which we can see over here. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this is an example. So here str1 is a string. This painting is great, and upon adding the prefix not over here, we can see the polarity changes from 0.8 to -0.4. So it changes from positive to negative. Similar example is here that for poor, adding not in front of it changes the sentiment, the polarity from negative to positive. So, and another example is that adding a prefix very in front of great multiplies its polarity and subjectivity values, whereas the same is also happening in case of poor. So moving on, next yeah, so the data cleaning of comments was also done in this part of the code because it will give better results and to also remove redundant or useless data. So in data cleaning part of the code, I have first read the CSV file into a Panda data frame, so to make it easier to access and manipulate the data, and all of the letters have been converted to lowercase, and then further punctuations have been removed, and all the words which include digits have been removed, and all the white space characters have been reduced to spaces. And then I have done some customized cleaning based on the observation on data and words which had no effect on the sentiment values. I used regular expressions for identifying the kind of words which need to be replaced, and replacing them with empty string or space as required. Finally, this clean data was stored in a new column, clean comments, in the data frame, and this data frame was pickled to a pickle file which was later used in the sentiment analysis step. Next, the stop words were also removed in the data cleaning part, and this is some screenshots of that part of code. Finally, this is the sentiment analysis part of the comments. The data cleaned in previous part was pickled and stored for use in this part, and we have used the sentiment property of text block to find the sentiment all of this has been already told, and the output which was the scatter plot. So here the pickle files have been read for all the three data files, the three videos, and then we have found the polarity and subjectivity values and stored it in new columns in the data frame. As a final step of filtration, I have filtered out the data which has both polarity and subjectivity values 0, because these are meaningless strings which have no effect on the results. And finally, the scatter plots were plotted. So these are the screenshots of the code here. And finally, this is the part where the scatter plot was plotted, and mean polarity and subjectivity values were calculated for all the different values. for all the different videos, and here we can see the sentiment analysis scatter plots. And these are the combined scatter plot, and this is for the Avengers Endgame and Infinity War videos, and this is the combined scatter plot for them. And finally, also I have outputted the mean polarity and subjectivity, which has been calculated by averaging while making this scatter plot. So next we will see the results.
So here is the result of our analysis. As you can see, this is a graphical representation of the mean polarity versus mean subjectivity. And as you can see, it is quite visible that the iPhone 12 Pro Max has more positive comments. Again, this is for the Endgame versus Infinity War, and we've compared the mean subjectivity and mean polarity, and you can see that in Avengers Infinity War has more positive polarity as compared to that. This is a table which is compares the likes versus views and dislikes versus view and comments versus view, and you can see that this had more comments versus views. Um, this is again comparing the entities for the comments versus view and just a graphical representation of the same. And as you can see from this also that this had more comments versus views, which is the endgame review. Now, while we would like to speak upon the conclusion that we formed on the iPhone 12 Pro Max versus Samsung 21 Ultra.
So, in conclusion, the response to the iPhone 12 Pro Max was slightly more positive as compared to the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, which corresponds to the hype Apple has created in the market by being the first to launch new innovative technologies over the years. Overall, both phones were well received, which can be deduced from the higher positive polarity of the comparison video and the high polarities of the videos in general. Now, Aniket will describe our results on the comparison between the Avengers Infinity War and the Avengers Endgame review.
The polarity of reaction towards Avengers Endgame is observed to be slightly less than the Infinity War mainly because of the plot of the movies. Avengers Endgame ending was sad for the fans of Marvel Cinematic Universe worldwide because the everyone's beloved Iron Man died at the end, which we can see has affected the sentiments of the video and has resulted in more negative sentiments. On the other hand, Infinity War ended with hope and awaiting people awaiting that what will be happening next. Therefore, it has slightly higher sentiment than Infinity War than Endgame.
And as you can see that the word clouds that we formed, you can see that these were the generated word clouds. There's some words that are highlighted in the like they're very large in size, which is because of that they're more frequently used, which makes us realize that what exactly the transcript had in them. Like Infinity War was all about character, Avengers, Hulk, and Pig, and all of that. Over here in Samsung, we can see it was more of over here in iPhones, we can say it was more about the camera and the mode and the maximum and pro. So it is a more that oriented phone. And over here also, camera did out reach Samsung in a lot of ways and zoom and write. And so the words kind of depicted that transcripts were more inclined towards them. Thank you.